A little girl walks in and changes everything. What secret does she carry that terrifies a hardened biker? This is a story of danger, a desperate plea, and an unlikely protector facing an unthinkable choice. The tension is immediate, and the stakes are life and death. If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. Tank, look. Tank didn't answer right away. He was counting cash at the long table when Daniel's voice changed. Not loud, not joking, tight. Tank looked up. The little girl stood just inside the open clubhouse door. She was small, too small to be alone. Her hair was dirty. Her jacket was thin. She held a stuffed bear under her arm like it was the only thing keeping her upright. And then Tank smelled it. He stood so fast, the chair fell backward. "Everyone stop," Tank said, calm, sharp. "Nobody move." Mark laughed at first. "What, she steal something?" Tank didn't laugh. "James, open the windows," Tank said. "Paul, get water, now." They moved because of his voice. Tank walked closer to the girl, slow, hands open. "Hey, you're okay, what's your name?" The girl swallowed. "Lily." The smell was stronger now, bitter, sharp, wrong. Tank's stomach dropped. He knelt in front of her. "Did someone give you a drink, Lily?" She nodded once. "They said it was tea." Tank closed his eyes for half a second. Daniel stepped closer. "Tank." "Bitter almonds," Tank said. "That's cyanide." The room went silent. Mark whispered, "You serious?" Tank nodded. "I was an EMT, I know this smell." Lily swayed. Tank caught her before she fell. "Hey, stay with me, look at me." Her fingers gripped his vest. They made Daddy drink it. Tank's jaw clenched. "Where's your dad now?" She shook her head. "He told me to run." Tank gently lifted the stuffed bear under her arm. He noticed the stitching right away. Fresh, wrong. "Lily," he said softly, "I need to look at your bear. Is that okay?" She nodded. Tank opened the seam carefully. Inside was a Ziploc bag, blood smeared on it. Inside the bag was a USB drive and a folded paper. Daniel took the note with shaking fingers and read it out loud. "They made Daddy drink the bitter tea. The men in clean suits have the other kids. Harbor 12. Paul slammed his fist on the table. "Clean suits, like corporate people." David was already typing. "Harbor 12 is old docks, warehouse zone." Tank pulled out his phone and dialed. 911, poison exposure, child, possible cyanide. "Yes, now." Lily's breathing was shallow. Tank held her tight. "You did good, you did everything right." Sirens came fast. The paramedics rushed in. Questions, masks, oxygen. One paramedic looked at Tank. "Good call, she'd be gone if you waited." Tank didn't reply. They took Lily away. The clubhouse exploded after that. "We're not letting this go," Mark said. Daniel nodded. "We don't go loud, we don't lose our empire, but we handle this." David plugged the USB into his laptop. Files opened, videos, charts, names, kids' ages. James whispered, "That's drug testing." "Illegal," David said. "Using kids, shelter as cover." Tank stood. "We find Harbor 12. Mercy walked in from the back room. She looked at Tank and knew something was wrong. "What happened?" she asked. "Kid," Tank said. "Poisoned, others missing." Mercy didn't ask questions. "Tell me what to do." "Stay ready," Tank said. "We might need help." They moved through the city fast. Calls went out. Rita knew dock workers. Jessica knew a guard. Elena pulled old maps. Lucy hacked traffic cams. Rose tracked company vans. There were jokes in between. Mark said, "Every time I try to relax, kids bring murder USBs." Paul said, "At least it's not on fire." Tank didn't smile, but he heard them. They reached Harbor 12 just before dark. Big warehouse, lights on, vans inside, men in clean jackets. Daniel whispered, "Quiet." They slipped in through a side door. Inside were rows of cots, kids, quiet, scared. A man in a white coat turned. "Hey." James grabbed him and pinned him. "Sit." A guard rushed forward. Daniel stepped in front of him. "Stop." The kids watched, frozen. Tank knelt. "It's okay, we are here to take you out." A boy whispered, "They said our parents were sick." "They lied," Tank said. Sirens sounded far away, anonymous call. They moved fast, one kid at a time, out the back, into waiting vans. A woman in a clean suit ran toward Tank. "You don't understand what you're doing." Tank looked at her. "I understand enough." She tried to run. Paul blocked her. Later, Tank sat in the hospital hallway. Lily slept inside, color back in her face. Mercy sat beside him. "She's asking for you." Tank stood and went inside. Lily opened her eyes. "Did you find them?" "Yes," Tank said, "all of them." She nodded. "Okay." She grabbed his finger. "Don't go." "I'm here," Tank said. Outside, Daniel watched through the glass. The Empire stayed standing. But nothing was the same anymore. "Tank." He looked up from the chair in the hospital hallway. Daniel stood there with 2 cups of bad coffee. "She's stable," Daniel said. "Doctors say she'll make it." Tank nodded once. His hands were still shaking, even though he hid them under his vest. "She keeps asking for you," Daniel added. "Nurse said she won't sleep." Tank stood and walked back into the room. Lily's eyes opened right away. "You came back." "I said I would," Tank said. She looked at him for a long moment. "They won't find me again." "No," Tank said, "not while I'm breathing." That made her relax. She closed her eyes, still holding his finger. Tank stayed. Hours later, Mercy came in quietly. She leaned against the wall. "You look like hell," she said. Tank shrugged. "Feel worse." She stepped closer. "You saved her life." "Barely." "But you did," Mercy said. Her voice was soft but strong. "And the other kids, that matters." Tank looked at her. "You scared?" She nodded. "Yeah, but I'm here." There was something in the way she looked at him, not rushed, not loud, just real. They didn't touch, but the space between them felt full. Later that morning, Tank left the hospital to meet the others. The club office was busy, phones ringing, David typing fast, Rita packing. "They're panicking," Rita said. "The company, they didn't expect this." "They will try to clean it," Daniel said. "Erase names, pay people." "They won't get the kids," Tank said. "That's the line." David looked up. "There's more." He turned the screen. "Another shelter, different name, same company." "Still running," David said. "Different location." Paul cracked his knuckles. "We shut it down." "Careful," Daniel said. "We don't burn the house down, we expose it." Mark grinned. "Expose it hard." They split tasks. Tank went back to Lily. She was awake now, sitting up, sipping juice. "Hi," she said. "Hi," Tank replied. A social worker named Rose came in. "We need to talk about where Lily stays." Tank's jaw tightened. Rose raised a hand. "I'm not here to take her away, not today." Lily looked scared. "I don't want to go." Tank crouched. "Nobody's taking you right now." Rose nodded. "Temporary care, she needs someone stable." Tank stood slowly. "I can do that." Rose studied him. "You sure?" "No," Tank said, "but I'll do it anyway." That night, Lily stayed in a safe apartment above the Clubhouse office. She looked around. "It's big." Tank nodded. "You get your own room." She smiled for the first time. Downstairs, the club laughed and argued like always. Mark yelled, "No kids in the bar area." Paul yelled back, "She's not in the bar, she's in the hallway." Tank shook his head. Later, Lily sat on the couch drawing. "What are you drawing?" Tank asked. "You," she said, "and my dad." Tank swallowed. Your dad loved you a lot. She nodded. That's why he sent me. That night, Tank didn't sleep much. 2 days later, the company struck back. A lawyer showed up, then 2 men in suits. Daniel met them. "We're being framed," one man said calmly. Daniel smiled without warmth. "You poisoned kids." "Allegedly." Daniel leaned forward. "Leave the city." "They didn't." That night, a black SUV circled the block. Tank noticed. He moved Lily into the back room. "Game time," Mark said. "They didn't start a war, they made noise." David leaked files. Rita tipped reporters. Jessica called a senator she once dated. The SUV disappeared. 2 days later, arrests started. The company collapsed fast once the truth hit. Parents cried on TV, executives ran, guards flipped. Lily watched the news quietly. "They're bad," she said. "Yes," Tank said. "They're gone now." "Yes." She leaned into his side. "Okay." Weeks passed. School started. Tank learned how to pack lunch wrong. "Why is everything spicy?" Lily asked. Tank blinked. "It's normal." She laughed. "No, it's not." Mercy came over more often, helped with homework, stayed late. One night, Tank said, "You don't have to." Mercy smiled. "I want to." Their hands touched in the kitchen, neither pulled away. It was quiet, warm, safe. The club noticed. Mark whispered to Paul, "He's gone." Paul nodded, completely. Tank overheard and rolled his eyes. One afternoon, Lily came home upset. "A boy said you're bad," she said. Tank knelt. "What did you say?" "I said you save kids." Tank hugged her. "You did good," he said. A year passed. Lily grew stronger, braver, louder. The club stayed solid, stronger even. Tank stood on the roof one night, looking at the city. Mercy joined him. "You ever regret it?" she asked. He shook his head. "No." She smiled. "Good." Inside, Lily laughed at something Mark said. Tank listened. This was his life now. And he wasn't running. "Dad." Tank stopped at the top of the stairs. Lily stood there in her pajamas, holding the bear again. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were scared. "What's wrong?" Tank asked. "I heard bikes," she said. "Not ours." Tank's body went tight. He picked her up. "You did good telling me." He carried her to the back room and set her down gently. "Stay here, lock the door. If anyone comes in, don't open it unless it's me." She nodded fast. "Okay." Tank stepped out and closed the door. Downstairs, Daniel, Mark, James, Paul, and David were already moving. "Black bikes," Mark said, "not club colors." "Company?" Tank asked. "Private security," David said, "same ones from the docks." Daniel's voice was calm. "Positions, no noise unless needed." The Empire didn't panic, it adjusted. Lights went off, doors locked, cameras rolled. 2 men tried the front door. James spoke through the intercom, "Wrong place." A 3rd man moved around the back. Tank was already there. "Stop," Tank said. The man froze. "You take one more step," Tank said, "and you're done." The man backed away slowly. They left without a fight. Later, Tank sat on Lily's bed until she slept again. "You're safe," he whispered. The next morning, Rose came by. "They tried to scare you," she said. "It didn't work." "They won't try again," Tank said. Rose studied him. "You're serious about keeping her?" "Yes." Rose nodded. "Then we make it legal." Court dates came, papers, questions. Tank answered, everything straight. "Yes, I ride. Yes, I've hurt people. Yes, I protect kids. The judge listened. Lily sat beside Mercy, holding her hand. When the judge said, "Temporary guardianship granted," Lily smiled so hard it hurt. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Tank said nothing. Daniel stepped in front. "This is over." That night, the club celebrated quietly. Cake on a crate, music low. Lily laughed when Mark tried to dance and failed. "Don't ever do that again," she said. Mark bowed, "For you, kid." Later, Tank and Mercy stood on the balcony. "You changed the club," Mercy said. "No," Tank said, "the club changed with me." She looked at him and us. Tank hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, us too." She leaned in, not rushed, not loud. Inside, Lily watched from the doorway and smiled. Months passed. The pharma company was gone for good. Harbor 12 stayed locked. The kids were safe. Tank learned school runs, parent meetings, birthday parties. One night, Lily asked, "Can I keep my last name?" Tank nodded, "Of course. But can I use yours too?" Tank's throat closed. "Yeah, you can." She hugged him hard. "Thank you, Dad." Tank held her like she might disappear if he didn't. She didn't. The empire stayed strong. And so did the family they never planned to have. Tank woke before dawn. Not because of noise, because of habit. He lay still for a second, listening. Upstairs, Lily was asleep. Downstairs, the clubhouse was quiet except for the hum of the fridge and someone snoring on a couch. "Xavier." He stood, washed his face, and started coffee. 10 minutes later, Lily padded into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. "You said you'd wake me for school," she said. Tank looked at the clock. "You're early." She shrugged. "I had a dream." "Good one or bad one?" She thought both, but you were there. Tank poured cereal, then it was okay. She smiled and sat. Life moved like that now, small moments, big weight. School drop-off became routine. Teachers stared at Tank at first, leather vest, big frame, quiet voice. Then they saw how Lily ran back to hug him every time. People learned. Back at the clubhouse, Daniel waited. "We got a problem," Daniel said. Tank stiffened. "Company." "No, worse," Daniel said. "Copycats." "What kind?" "Small labs, street chemists. They saw what the big company tried and thought they could do it quiet." Tank's jaw tightened. "Where?" 3 blocks from an old shelter," Daniel said. "Not kids yet, but close." Tank didn't hesitate. "We stop it now." They didn't rush in. They watched, recorded, let David trace money, let Rita call favors. Then they moved. Quiet, fast. No bodies, no mess. By morning, the lab was gone, and the files were already with the right people. Daniel looked at Tank. "You could have gone loud." Tank shook his head. "Lily doesn't need that." Daniel nodded. "Neither do we." That night, Tank came home tired. Lily was at the table with Mercy, doing homework. "She says 7 times 8 is 56, Mercy said. "I checked." Tank smiled. "She's right." Lily beamed. "Told you." Later, when Lily slept, Tank and Mercy sat on the couch. "You ever think about leaving?" Mercy asked quietly. Tank shook his head. "This is my life." She nodded. "Mine too, if you want it." Tank took her hand. This time, he didn't let go. Weeks passed. The guardianship hearing came again. This time, it was final. The judge looked at Tank. "You understand this is permanent?" "Yes," Tank said. Lily squeezed his hand. "Then I grant full guardianship," the judge said. Lily cried. Tank didn't, but his chest burned. Outside, Lily jumped into his arms. "I'm yours forever." Tank hugged her tight. "Yeah, you are." The clubhouse threw a real party that night. Cake, balloons, Mark wore a party hat and hated it. "This better never get out," he said. Lily laughed so hard she fell off her chair. Later, Daniel raised a glass. "We didn't lose the empire," he said. "We added to it." They drank. Life didn't turn soft. There were still threats, deals, nights Tank came home bleeding and tired. But he always came home. One night, Lily waited up. "You promised," she said. Tank knelt. "I'm here." She nodded and went back to bed. Years moved quietly. Lily grew taller, smarter, louder. She learned rules, not club rules, life rules. Don't lie, don't run alone, always call. Tank taught her how to ride a bike, slowly, carefully. "You're holding too tight," she said once. Tank blinked. "I am." "Yes." He loosened his grip. She rode on her own. Tank felt proud and scared at the same time. Mercy stood beside him. That never goes away. "I know," Tank said. One afternoon, Lily came home angry. "A girl said my dad is bad," she said. Tank knelt. "What did you say?" "I said he saved kids and didn't ask for thanks." Tank hugged her. "That's enough," he said. Later that night, Tank stood on the roof again. The city looked the same. He didn't. Mercy joined him. "You good?" she asked. Tank nodded. "Yeah." "You ready for the next part?" she asked. He looked at her. "What next part?" She smiled. "The one where we keep going." Tank smiled back. Downstairs, Lily laughed at something Paul said. Tank listened. This was his life. Hard, loud, real. And worth every second. Tank thought the quiet would last. It never does. 3 nights after everything felt settled, Tank woke up to Lily standing beside his bed again. She wasn't crying this time. That scared him more. "Dad," she whispered, "someone is outside." Tank sat up at once. He listened. He didn't hear bikes. He didn't hear shouting. He heard something worse. Nothing. He slipped out of bed and looked through the window just a little. A black car sat across the street. Engine off, lights off, someone inside. Tank pulled on his vest. "Stay here," he whispered to Lily. "Lock the door like before." She nodded. "Okay." Tank went downstairs. Daniel was already there, pulling on gloves. "You see it too?" Daniel asked. Tank nodded. "Same car from before." Mark came out of the back room with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "These people don't learn." "We don't go loud," Tank said. "Not unless they force it." Paul checked the cameras. 1 driver, no plates. David tapped keys fast. Signal jammer in the trunk. They're watching. Tank exhaled slow. "Then we show them they're done." They didn't rush the car. Rita made a call. Jessica made another. 10 minutes later, a patrol car rolled down the street slow and calm. The black car pulled away right after. Daniel watched it disappear. "That's the last look." Tank nodded. "It better be." Upstairs, Lily waited exactly like she promised. Tank opened the door. "They're gone?" she asked. "Yes," Tank said. "Good listening." She smiled a little. "I did what you said." Tank knelt and hugged her. "You always do." The next day, Tank walked Lily to school like normal. He stayed until she went inside. He always did now. A woman standing nearby watched him. Clean coat, calm face. Tank noticed. She stepped closer. "Tank." He turned. "Who's asking?" "My name is Stella," she said. "I work with children who go through hard things." Tank didn't relax. "She's fine." "I know," Stella said quickly. "I'm not here to take her. I just wanted to say she talks about you a lot." Tank said nothing. "She says you smell like oil and coffee," Stella added, "and that means safe." Tank blinked once. "Okay." Stella smiled. "You're doing good, that's all." She walked away. That night, Lily came home excited. Dad, I got picked for the school play. Tank frowned. A play? Yes, I'm a tree. Mark, sitting on the couch, laughed. Best role. Lily crossed her arms. Trees are important. Tank nodded. They are. The play changed everything in a small way. Tank sat in a tiny chair in a crowded room full of parents. He felt out of place. Mercy sat beside him, her knee brushing his. You okay? She whispered. Tank nodded. Yeah. When Lily came on stage in a green shirt and cardboard leaves, Tank leaned forward like his life depended on it. She saw him. She smiled. Tank felt something crack open in his chest again. After the play, Lily ran to him. Did you see me? I saw everything, Tank said. She hugged him hard. Mark took pictures and promised not to post them. No one believed him. Life kept moving. Not softer, just fuller. One night, Tank came home late, bleeding from his shoulder. Mercy was waiting. You promised, she said quietly. I'm here, Tank said. I'm always here. She cleaned the wound without speaking. Her hands were steady, her face was. You scare me, she said finally. Tank met her eyes. I know. You scare me because you care, she said. Tank nodded. Yeah. She kissed him then, slow, careful, real. It wasn't loud, it wasn't rushed. It mattered. Months passed. The city moved on from Harbor 12. News found new monsters. But sometimes parents sent letters, thank yous, pictures of kids smiling. Tank kept them in a box. He didn't read them often. Lily found the box one day. These are for you, she said. They're for all of us, Tank replied. One evening, Lily asked a hard question. Dad, am I bad because bad people wanted me? Tank froze. No, he said firmly, you're not bad, you were brave. She nodded slowly, okay. Later, Daniel pulled Tank aside. You ever think about stepping back? Daniel asked. Tank shook his head. Empire stands, I stand. Daniel smiled, just checking. Years rolled on like that. Lily grew taller, stronger, louder. Tank taught her rules, real ones. Always call. Never run alone. Trust your gut. She learned. One night, Lily stood in the doorway again, older now, braver. Dad, she said, if something ever happens, I know what to do. Tank swallowed. Nothing's happening. I know, she said. I just wanted you to know I'm not scared anymore. Tank pulled her into a hug. That's my girl. On her 15th birthday, the clubhouse threw a party that was almost normal. Cake, music, laughing. Daniel raised a glass. To family, he said. Everyone drank. Lily looked around the room. I used to think this place was scary, she said. Now it's home. Tank felt tears burn. He didn't hide them. Later that night, after everyone left, Tank and Mercy sat on the roof again. You did this, Mercy said. No, Tank replied. We did. Inside, Lily slept safe. The city still had monsters. But tonight, they weren't winning. Tank looked out over the lights and finally believed something simple. Saving one child didn't end the world. It gave him one worth protecting. Tank didn't think life would keep testing him after that. He was wrong. 2 weeks later, Lily came home quiet, too quiet. She dropped her bag by the door and sat on the couch without turning on the TV. That never happened. Tank noticed right away. Hey, he said, kneeling in front of her, what's going on? She looked at her hands. Someone came to school today. Tank's back went straight. Who? A man, she said. He wore a nice jacket. He said he knew my dad. Tank's heart thumped hard. Which dad? She looked up. You. Tank kept his voice calm. What did he say? He asked questions, Lily said. Where I live, who picks me up, I told the teacher. Tank nodded slowly. Good job. He smiled, she added, but it wasn't a nice smile. Tank stood up and grabbed his phone. Within minutes, Daniel, Mark, James, Paul, and David were in the room. No panic, Daniel said. We do this clean. David pulled school camera feeds. I've got him. The man's face filled the screen. Paul frowned. I know him. Who? Tank asked. Private fixer, Paul said. Works for rich people who don't want dirt. Daniel's jaw tightened. The company's friends. Tank looked at Lily. You did everything right. She nodded. Am I in trouble? No, Tank said. You're smart. That night, Lily stayed with Mercy. Tank didn't like it, but he knew it was right. Call me if she sneezes, Tank told Mercy. Mercy rolled her eyes. Go. Tank went. The fixer didn't hide well. By midnight, they had his route, his car, his habits. Daniel stopped Tank outside the warehouse. You don't need to do this alone, Daniel said. I know, Tank said, but I need to be there. They waited. When the fixer stepped out of his car, James blocked his path. Wrong night, James said. The fixer raised his hands. I'm just asking questions. Daniel stepped forward. You asked the wrong kid. The fixer swallowed. I was paid to check. Paid by who? Tank asked. The fixer hesitated. Paul leaned closer. Careful. The fixer talked. Names, shell companies, old money still angry. Tank listened, then nodded. You're done, Tank said. You don't go near her again. The fixer nodded fast. I swear. They let him go. No noise, no mess. The message was clear. The next morning, Tank picked Lily up from Mercy's place. She ran to him. You came. Always, Tank said. Life settled again. School projects, late dinners, bike rides on quiet roads. One night, Lily asked, why do bad people keep trying? Tank thought for a second, because some people hate being caught. She nodded, okay. Years moved fast after that. Lily grew into a strong teenager, sharp eyes, loud laugh. She knew the rules, she knew the world wasn't fair. Tank taught her how to drive in an empty lot. You're gripping too tight, she said. Tank blinked. You said that when you learned to ride. She smiled. I learned from you. Mercy watched from the hood of a car. He hates letting go, she said. I know, Lily said, but he tries. On Lily's 18th birthday, the clubhouse went quiet for a moment. Daniel raised a glass. She walked in here scared once. Mark added, and now she scares us. Laughter broke the tension. Lily looked at Tank. You saved my life. Tank shook his head. You saved your own. I just answered the door. She hugged him hard. Later that night, Tank stood alone outside. The city sounded the same. But he was. Mercy joined him. You did good. Tank nodded. Yeah. Inside, Lily laughed with the club. Tank listened. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like he was waiting for the next disaster. He felt like he'd already won something that mattered. Tank thought endings were loud. Gunshots, sirens, fire. This one was. It started on a quiet morning. Lily stood in the kitchen tying her jacket. She was taller now, stronger, her voice steady. I'll be late, she said. Study group. Tank nodded. Text me when you're done. I always do. She smiled and left. Tank watched the door longer than needed. Mercy walked up behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist. She's fine. I know, Tank said, still. That night, Daniel called a meeting. Not emergency, not panic. Just business. The last of the shell companies tied to Harbor 12 had been exposed. The money trail was public now. Executives were in court. The fixer from before had vanished, not dead, just gone. Daniel looked around the table. It's done. Mark leaned back. For real this time? Yes, Daniel said. No more shadows coming for her. Tank let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding for years. Later, Tank sat alone in Lily's old room. The walls still had drawings taped up, the tree from the school play, a crooked bike, stick figures holding hands. He picked up the stuffed bear, the same one, clean now, stitched again and again. He remembered the smell, the fear, the way she clutched it. He sat on the bed and closed his eyes. He wasn't angry anymore. That surprised him. A knock came at the door. Lily stepped in. You okay? Tank nodded, just thinking. She sat beside him. You always do that when things slow down. Yeah, he said, hard habit to break. She looked around the room. I don't really remember being scared anymore. Tank looked at her. That's good. But I remember you, she said, every time. Tank swallowed. You didn't have to, she continued. You could have sent me away. I couldn't, Tank said. Once you walked in, that was it. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I know. There was a long silence. Then Lily spoke again. I got accepted. Tank froze. Accepted where? She smiled wide. Nursing school, EMT track 2. Tank stared at her. You're serious? She nodded. I want to help people like you helped me. Tank laughed once, rough and full, then his eyes burned. That's good, he said. Mercy watched them from the doorway, hand over her mouth. Weeks later, the day came. Lily packed her bags, not far, still in the city, still close. Tank carried the boxes anyway. You don't have to, Lily said. I want to, Tank replied. At the apartment door, Lily stopped. You coming in? She asked. Tank shook his head. This is yours. She hugged him tight. You'll still call me. Tank snorted. Every day. She laughed. Okay. When she closed the door, Tank stood there longer than needed. Mercy took his hand. You did your job. Tank nodded. Yeah. The clubhouse felt different after that. Still loud, still alive. But quieter in the spaces that mattered. Tank still ran things, still enforced rules, still protected territory. But he also volunteered, quietly, no cameras, no credit. One night, a scared kid walked into a clinic smelling wrong. Tank didn't hesitate. Another year passed. Lily came home for dinner one night, tired but smiling. I saved someone today, she said. Tank looked up slowly. Tell me. He made it, she said, barely. Tank nodded. Barely still counts. She smiled. That's what you used to say. Tank leaned back and looked at her, really looked. She wasn't the scared girl anymore. She was strong, capable, safe. That was enough. On the roof later that night, Tank stood alone. The city lights flickered, same as always. Daniel joined him. You ready? Tank glanced at him. For what? Daniel smiled. For whatever's next. Tank thought about the door opening years ago, about the smell, about the call to 911. About choosing to kneel instead of turning away. I already did it, Tank said. Daniel nodded. Yes, you did. Inside, Lily laughed with Mercy and Mark over something stupid. Tank listened. He didn't feel like he was guarding something fragile anymore. He felt like he had built something solid. The world was still ugly. People were still cruel. But one girl walked into the wrong place on the right night. And a biker answered the door. That was enough. Thank you for watching. This story shows courage can be found anywhere. What would you have done in this situation? Let us know in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. If stories with unexpected heroes pull you in, hit subscribe so you never miss one.